Greg, first of all, thank you for having us here at what is the first meeting of the new Berkshire. First time in 60 years that they have a new CEO who's heading up this meeting. What is this like for you? You've been doing this for so long, but what is this like for you this first time out?
Well, thank you for being here, and we're so excited to be here in Omaha. So it is a great tradition, and yes, first time in 60 years. Fortunately, Warren will be a part of it, and we're excited by that. And what I really want to communicate to, we have our owners here, and these couple days are, especially on Saturday, it's Owners Day. It's their day. So I just want them to really know that Warren brought this amazing commitment to Berkshire and deep understanding. And I want them to know that remains, that there's a team, myself included, that are absolutely committed and have a deep understanding of Berkshire, and we bring that same passion every day.
What's going to be different at the meeting this year? Anything, or is it?
There's some just evolution, as I think hopefully our owner shareholders enjoy. So one of the things we'll be doing is introducing some other managers.
Yeah.
And that was very purposeful, because when you walk around here in all these businesses, we have exceptional leadership in the businesses, and we very much operate at where this ownership mentality, it's their businesses. But what we want is to, on stage, let all the owners, all the shareholders, those watching CNBC, start to see the depth of management in Berkshire.
How did you pick the managers? I understand Adam, because he's obviously in this new management role. Katie Farmer's going to be on stage too. What made you get to those people that you'd be bringing up?
So it started with the thought that on the insurance side we have Ajit.
Yep.
But even someday we'll add an insurance manager and things like that. Because the idea was, if you think of start with insurance, there's no one better than Ajit, and the world needs to hear him and see him. But equally, we have a deep team there. And that's something I've been so excited by. When Warren made the announcement last May, as we all know, the first thing he did was pull together the senior team, the senior leaders on the insurance side. And it was a small meeting in Omaha, Warren, I, Ajit, and say 5 other of the senior leaders in insurance. But Warren was very open about, okay, this is our new team. I was the first to say I've got a lot to understand and learn. I had some knowledge from spending a lot of time with Ajit and being on certain boards. But that was really exciting, and to see the depth of that team it felt really good to know who was behind Ajit. And then so I had that opportunity, and then when it came time on the non-insurance, really focused on one, Adam, and as much in that he brings a wealth of experience from NetJets, and he's remaining our CEO there because we still want him to have his fingerprints on it, but he's got an exceptional team. But as he took on the 32 teams, as you've already highlighted, that was a logical outcome. Katie is our largest non-insurance business, so it was logical to introduce her. She runs an amazing business, 175 trains moving a day across 32,000 miles, 32,500 operationally, and serving many different types of customers, from agriculture to moving the intermodal traffic we do. So she's got a breadth of responsibilities, and I just wanted our shareholders to meet them and hear what they do every day.
I know it's right ahead of earnings, so you're in a quiet period. There's some things you can't say. But how has the war in the Middle East, higher energy prices, impacted the company? How do you deal with it?
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, we do have a team and teams. It can be a variety of things that surface daily, quarterly, in an annual basis. Always very proud of them. I mean, it's heads down, and we're going to work our way through this. So you're right, with energy costs going up, for example, if you think of our chemical businesses, we have Lubrizol. We just completed the OxyChem transaction on January 2nd. We closed that, and then we have a third one called LSPI, and I like to think of them as our chemical group. Their inputs went up immediately. Now, that takes time for us to catch up on pricing, because we have customer contracts and they do reset, and it's a balance. And on the back end, they'll be a little slower to correct. So there's a way to adjust for price appropriately and fairly for both the customer and us, but that takes time. So I would say the biggest thing is we see some immediate increase in the input costs across certain businesses.
Okay. Back to Adam. People wonder who your sounding board is. Warren had Charlie, Warren had you. Who do you get to talk to kind of bounce ideas off of or be a steadying force when you get questions yourself?
Yeah. So number one, very fortunate that Warren still comes into the office every day. And he's a great sounding board. Yeah. I mean, that's really, there's a lot of collaboration now. Yeah. And there's always been, but I'm going to call him, I'm in Omaha a few days a week, and then I'm on the road like I've always been, meeting with our other businesses or looking at certain opportunities. But when I'm here, it's a discussion around what we're seeing, him and I, how do things feel, what do I see as opportunities, what's he seeing as an opportunity. And so one, exceptional sounding board. Yeah. There's no question I talked to Adam, not just about his businesses, but what are we seeing again? Where are potential opportunities? And I've really tried to have that type of engagement for a number of years with our non-insurance operations. But if you go to our top businesses, they're very senior business leaders in themselves. And I greatly value hearing what they're seeing. What are they hearing from their suppliers? What are they hearing from their customers? Yeah. Because it has so it's just gathering that knowledge just sort of on a continual basis from a broader breadth than say just a Charlie, but that would be, I'm fortunate to have that broader group.
You wrote in the annual letter, which by the way was really comprehensive, had a ton of information, I think, updating people about where things stand as the company, what you would want to know if you're an owner in the company. But you wrote in it that your job is primarily one of risk management, to kind of see around corners. How do you do that? Because when I think risk management, I always think Jamie Dimon or somebody who's really involved with the financials. But you're right. There's a lot of things you have to know in every one of these businesses. How do you stay on top of that?
Yeah. So one, fortunately, having run the non-insurance operations for 8 years and know those leaders well, we always start discussing what the challenges are, what's the risk today, but more importantly, what's the risk 5 years, 10 years from now? What's worrying them? How is their customer changing? And that's a constant dialogue. So, but there's broader risks that you start to see surface. And then when I was with the insurance team, that first meeting was all a discussion around risk. Yes, we have to get pricing right to the risk, but what are the risks? And not the risks that year. What are we seeing the risk 5 and 10 years from now? And if you go to insurance, for example, and it's a risk in a lot of our businesses, for example, inflation. Yeah. So we're very aware of that. We're watching it across our businesses. We want to understand what it does to our business but business as a whole in Berkshire. And then it goes from there.
Inflation's been stubborn even before the war with Iran. Now you have more inflation. How or when does that become a problem that you worry about?
Well, I think we worry, listen, at these levels and the 2% goal, and we're at 3 and potentially creeping up a bit, we'd prefer to clearly see it at the 2, as would the American consumer in every business. But the reality is there's going to be some. It's all manageable at this level. But we all know what's happened to countries when it gets at the extreme levels. And post-COVID, we hit some pretty high levels. Yeah. When we're at that 8 to 9% level, that's pretty alarming. And it adjusted down. So if it gets to levels and then it continues to compound, it gets very scary at those type of levels.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about the portfolio. And you addressed this in the letter as well. You said that of the $300 billion stock portfolio, look, about $200 billion of it is stuff that's pretty steady and pretty staid. Yeah. 4 big stocks. I think it was Apple, Amex, Coca-Cola, and Moody's. Correct. And then you had the Japanese trading houses that were there. And part of the reason you said this is because you understand the business and you know the leaders very well. The leaders of 2 of those companies are stepping down, Tim Cook and James Quincy from Apple and Coca-Cola, respectively. Have you met with the new CEOs? Or have you spoken with them, and do you feel good about where things stand with those two big investments?
So those are, we will be meeting with the leaders, in fact, in this coming week.
Okay.
With both of them, the incoming and unfortunately the change, but that happens.
Yeah.
But what we do believe in, and I believe that's what we had. We know the quality of those leaders. We know the quality of the businesses. The boards are exceptional. They're going to have thought this through very clearly and have the right leader. And time always tells, but the reality is we're excited by the leaders coming in and very supportive of what the prior two leaders had done. It's remarkable what they've done with those two businesses.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because we've heard of so many CEOs who have stepped down that have been really young. James Quincy's only 60.
I know.
He's younger than you are.
Yeah, I know he's younger. I know. I reminded him of that when he told me he was going to step down. I said, "You've got more years in you. Come on."
Right.
But the reality is we all have our own timelines.
Yeah, Tim Cook's less than 2 years older than you are.
Right.
But and I know you addressed this in the letter too, but how long do you see yourself doing this? What's your runway?
Yeah, my runway's really long. I love doing this. And like Warren, we're passionate. And as I said right from the get-go, I want our shareholders to know there's absolute commitment and passion. And I have a great family, and I prioritize my family, and I prioritize Berkshire, and I know how to find the balance. Yeah. And with those two things, I'm really happy. Do I have time for friends and the odd activity? Sure. But it's when you know how to, at least I believe that, when you can find that right balance, it's perfect. And so I wouldn't, when I said 20 years in the letter, that would not surprise me. But that's up to our board, obviously, and our shareholders, and we have to be doing a great job. But I love Berkshire, and I see myself in this role for a long time.
That's great. One more point. In the letter, you talked about an issue that had happened with Pilot, where you all bought into Pilot in 2017. You didn't get to really fully manage the place until 2023. You said that's not a mistake that we'll make again. What other mistakes have you learned from? Because you're new to the CEO role, but you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. And on that one, I want to, because it was a mistake we made, Berkshire. Not that Pilot made any mistakes or it was their problem. We just recognized that we needed short-term and long-term objectives aligned if we're going to enter into a transaction where there's a period of time.
Okay.
It was really that simple. And I didn't see that alignment. And I think we talked earlier, we're working hard to improve the customer service side on Pilot. We just always want those objectives aligned when we're entering into a transaction.
Meaning making sure that you're continuing to invest in the business and it makes sense.
Correct, in the right way.
Yeah.
So then the things over the years, I mean, I was fortunate all the way back to 1996. I went to the UK as the CEO of our utility business there. Larger than the utility across the river in Iowa. We had 1.3 million customers. We drew it to 2, but that was a big learning moment for myself. But probably the first thing there, for example, was recognizing when we needed to make changes, we should make the changes. And there, we recognized that environment within the business was changing very quickly. It was going from being a heavily regulated business to an unregulated business. So we needed skill sets that we probably didn't bring into the business quick enough. So forever, I watch how the businesses are evolving. Yes, we've got great teams, but how do we supplement it and make sure they're successful? That was a great lesson very early in my career.
That's great. Greg, we're excited to see what happens this weekend. I want to thank you for your time ahead of this.
Well, thank you for being here. I look forward to the questions on Saturday. It's always a great opportunity, all that gets submitted into you, and then obviously receiving them from our shareholders and owners. So thank you, and we look forward to a great Saturday.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.